There's nothing more demoralizing and frustrating than getting a denial letter after months of work from the VA about your claim. But what if I told you that that was really only the beginning in ultimately receiving an approval on your VA claims? I'm going to take you through a simple 3-step process into how to turn your no into a yes and an approved VA claim. I'm Jordan Anderson with VA Claims Academy. Let's go. Today we're going to keep things very simple. So I'm going to boil this down into a 3-phased approach, which really is something that can apply to any sort of warfare, any sort of strategic sort of planning, and it's this. Step 1, you have reconnaissance. You need to know where the heck you're at. You need to look at your chessboard. I'm going to get into that in a second. Step 2 is strategy. Once you see where everything is, where all the pieces are, you need to strategize and come up with a game plan. And step 3 is attack. That's when you execute, you deploy whatever you've been cooking up, and that's essentially where you do your damage. So let's see how you can apply this in the real world to your VA claim to reliably get an overturned result. But here's something you need to know first. That is, you need to know if you're truly even denied for something. So I want to get something out of the way. Many people will get a 0% rating for a condition and then confuse that with being denied. Getting a 0% rating means that you're service connected. That means that the VA is conceding the fact that, hey, you have a disability and it's also connected to service. They're only sort of not conceding the fact that it's not as severe as you thought it was, or it's not severe according to their rules of 38 CFR. So I want to tell you right now, if you're sitting there and you're sitting on 0% ratings, those are like a gold mine, because those only need simple increases, because 2/3 of the work, no kidding, is already done. They know you have a disability, they know it's connected to service. The only thing missing, again, is that severity component. So, recon, how do we do it? You need to not only read your decision letter, but really understand your decision letter. Easier said than done. Oftentimes, it will even tell you on your denied decision letter, it'll tell you, you have been diagnosed with a disability. Yes, we acknowledge you have a disability. However, you're not service connected. So many veterans get very confused saying, what are you doing? You're telling me I have a disability, but you're not giving me disability for it. Well, that's why. So the biggest thing to understand with your decision letter is that I would say 80 to 90% of veterans who get denied are denied on the basis of service connection. So if that is you, that is the key that we're going to need to strategize, because you know where you're at now. So reconnaissance, read through your decision letter. The VA will give you certain feedback. Oftentimes it could be pretty vague, but they'll give you some hints here and there as to why exactly they denied you, and that is some key intel. But here's an advanced tip. If you're really savvy, not only are you going to understand your decision letter, but you're going to take it one step further. I would recommend actually submitting a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, for your DBQ from your C&P exam. So let me explain, that's a lot of jargon. Your compensation and pension exam is where the VA contractors called you in and did an examination for you. They were filling out what's called a DBQ, a Disability Benefits Questionnaire. So you can actually submit a request to get those documents that normally you wouldn't even see. And talk about valuable intel, that will tell you exactly whether their examiner agreed with you that your condition was, related to your service, whether they disagreed, whether they marked something down wrong. All of this is going to be key to doing what's next, which is strategizing your next steps. Now that you know that there's essentially 2 main paths of how to disagree, I'm going to break it down for you right now in detail, based on your own situation, how you should go about picking one of those 2. We talked about getting the DBQ from your C&P exam, right? There are multiple ways that this claim could have been messed up at. The very first way, and I'm telling you, 80% of the time, it's us veterans. 80% of the time, we mess up our own claims by not submitting an optimal claim. So if that is the case, you know that you need to do a supplemental claim right away. Hey, I dropped the ball here, I didn't have a good personal statement, or I didn't know that I needed a nexus letter for this until now. Yeah, do a supplemental claim. Don't even worry about a higher level review. You're having a rater re-review a bad claim. you're going to get the same bad result. The second way, it goes from you, if you have a very good, well-submitted claim, now you're interfacing with a CNP examiner. That's our second person. That's where the second thing, the second place where things can go wrong at. So again, you're looking at that DBQ. Hey, I told them that I have my migraines more than 4 times per month, but they checked the 2 or more times. They checked the middle box. They should have checked this box. That's a problem. Or I told them that I have, been fired from my job, and they didn't indicate that. I have total occupational impairment. That would be a problem with the CNP examiner. At that point, you would need a whole new compensation and pension exam. Again, a higher level review, they would just be re-reviewing that existing DBQ, which is kind of poisoning the well. So at that point, again, a supplemental claim, starting the process over again. Yes, it'll take months. But that's what you should do ultimately. Now, the responsibility. We have the veteran who submits a good claim, the CNP examiner who did a good job, and then you still got a bad rating. Well, at that point, it's probably your rating adjudicator, aka your VA rater, and that's the point where swapping them and saying, you know what, go ahead and get me your manager, you take a look at this existing claim, look at it, it's beautiful. That's when that could be very effective. So just to quickly recap, 80% of the time, don't hate the messenger here, 80% of the time when we get underrated as veterans, it is our fault. Look internally here, check the link in the description below if you're having trouble with your personal statement writing or if you need nexus letters, definitely do that. But if it's not you, check your CNP examiner, again, Reconnaissance, and then it could be your VA rater, last case. So, final step, attack. You know what the VA was missing or what they say they were missing. You know exactly where it went wrong. You know how to plug that gap and fix it. So, if you need to do a supplemental claim, right now is the time where you need to go draft up some potent personal statement letters, draft up some nexus letters or get personal or nexus letter templates if needed to have your doctor sign. Whatever you got to do, this is the time to get it done and have it ready to submit and deploy. It's almost like a surgical strike. Once you have that level of reconnaissance, you know exactly where you need to attack. It is so effective because you're not firing in the dark all over the place, wasting effort like most veterans do. So go to the drawing board, make sure you're familiar with 38 CFR rating criteria for each one of your conditions that you're claiming, right? You have to be able to know the VA's language, otherwise there's going to be that frustration because things are going to get lost in translation. Look at M21.1 for each one of your conditions. It's an open book test. Invest into the knowledge to get it right. Then you submit it. You simply resubmit your supplemental claim with all of your nexus letters, with your personal statements, or you simply trigger the higher level review. And by the way, the forms for how to do this are actually located on your decision letter itself. And then again, the last step is you want to ignore the appeals process, again, until very last case scenario because you're getting lawyers involved. 99% of the time, you do not need to do that. Fellow vets, I really hope this helped you. This is sort of an advanced look at really how to go about truly disagreeing with your VA claim. I can promise you, many vets don't know this. So if you could, definitely share this with someone who needs it because they will really appreciate you for it. Hit the like button, sound off with your thoughts down below. Has this strategy worked for you? Are you going to employ it right now in the future? Let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.